Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there.
You mentioned the NFL expanding to 18 weeks. Can I ask you an NFL question? I don't know what you have planned.
Please, yeah.
We asked this question on the show today because did you see the Joe Burrow quotes about basically all of good days and bad days and about, him recovering from the wrist? And I know Burrow is one of your favorite guys, and Burrow is the only active player who's stared down Mahomes and beat him in a game that matters. He's the only one. And so I give him massive credit. Are you at all worried that because of his injuries and now the Bengals, short order, probably going to lose T. Higgins, all that, like that we maybe have already seen the best of Joe Burrow we already saw, and he's not going to reach that level again?
No, but I do think one more injury and the Bengals have to draft another quarterback near the top first, second, third round. I think that's becoming a reality. This is why I said this today about Michael Penix. Last year, the Falcons had no good quarterbacks and couldn't win a bad division. This year, they'll have the two best quarterbacks, and you're complaining about it? Like 66 quarterbacks played. We're getting to a point with Burrow that it's a real discussion. You've got to have at least a B backup. Now, Brady didn't like it because he never got hurt with Garoppolo. And Big Ben, similarly, hey, I can still chug along. My injuries are fine. But I think Burrow is going to have to own, hey, this team needs a backup.
Sure,
and not a sixth rounder, maybe a third rounder when we have other needs. So I think that's a real discussion that Joe and the Bengals have to have.
You mentioned Penix. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to talk about both those quarterbacks for a moment. I have not understood the tiny violins for Kirk Cousins that have been out.
Yeah, neither do I.
Here's the deal, man. And this is going to sound shitty, and I don't mean it to, but it's honest. Kirk Cousins is not good enough to get everything he wants. That's the thing. If Kirk Cousins is good, he is not good enough to get. So I want to play in the worst division in football, no problem. I want to play in a dome. We can do that. I want to have another massive payday with $100 million guaranteed. Okay, we can do that too. I want to have a lot of weapons. You know what? We've got that. I don't want to have any competition whatsoever. Sorry, Kirk, can't give you that one.
That's right.
He is good enough to get a lot, but not everything. And when you are something of a football mercenary, if you will, you have taken the money and moved whatever. And to his credit, there's a trade-off in everything in life. One of those things is you haven't built up the equity within the organization for them to be like, oh man, he's going to hate this. They just met you. Like, sorry, like and the person I feel for in this is Penix. That like if sports broadcasting worked the way the NFL does, and I'm coming out of Syracuse, and I'm considered one of the 3 or 4 best in the world, and I'm like, oh man, there's this spot in this radio station in Las Vegas that might pick me, that has openings all over the place. There's a radio station in Denver that might pick me, that has openings all over the place. And then all of a sudden I get picked by a radio station in Atlanta, and they're like, buddy, all our shows are filled up, but we think in 2 years, maybe you'll have one. Be like, you gotta be kidding me. All these other places wanted me to play. Like, I'm by the way, I went to grad school. I'm old. Like, you're talking about me. Like, I'm not going to get on the air till I'm 26. Like, this sucks. And so everyone was like, oh man, Kirk's so disappointed. And I was sitting there thinking like, I get that he gets the money or whatever, but Penix, the difference between being the 8th pick and the 13th pick is not a ton of money. He was going to get first round guaranteed money no matter what. And now he's got to sit. Yeah. So, and again, maybe it ends up being good for him, and he's in a dome and he has the weapons. But if we're going to feel badly for either of these two quarterbacks, it's not the guy who just left his team, got $100 million, coming off an Achilles. It's not him that I feel badly for.
Hey, football fans, if you're looking to dominate your fantasy league next year, then we've got the channel for you. From the NFL draft through training camp in week 1 to Super Bowl Sunday, Fantasy Pros is the home of football content you cannot afford to miss. Subscribe today, and your team will be in championship form in no time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Kirk Cousins, and there's people like this in every industry, has monetized his position to the highest possible level. Brady took pay cuts. Tim Duncan took pay cuts. In the history of football, Kirk Cousins has monetized his talent to the greatest level and deserves great respect for that. But to your point,
there's a trade-off.
Tom Brady can say, Bruce Arians, go upstairs. Yeah, Kirk Cousins isn't going to say that to a coach.
That's the thing is the only people who get everything they want in their work life are the absolute apex best. And if you are the very best in your field, you can kind of write the contract. If you are that still super valuable, but there's 7 or 8 people better than you, then you're going to get most of what you want, but not all of it. And I just think that's normal. Like and I'm an empathetic person. I can cry at a good enough tweet. I don't know. Somebody put out a tweet the other day. It was like, my dad wrote me these letters every morning before school growing up. I read it. I teared up. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I really think I'm an empathetic person, but I didn't feel a moment where I'm like, oh, poor Kirk Cousins. It's like, what? Because you deserve to not have to compete, and you're not even really competing. Like, it's your job. You're really going to have to screw up to not have it be your job. I don't get it.